ॐ ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरोन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नाम्नि नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादि पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. So we are continuing from last week where we stopped. Today also we will be looking at only one verse because this is a little bit difficult purport to understand. We had to take more time. So Rupa Goswami, the context is that Rupa Goswami has mentioned out of the 64 angas of bhakti, the 64 limbs of devotional service, the last five are very important. And he started glorifying the last five angas or last five devotional activity in his own words. So in the previous verse, we saw that he was glorifying the deity worship here. Now in this verse, he is glorifying Bhagavatam. Shri Bhagavatam yata Shanke Nitaha Sapati Dashama Skanda Padyavalīnām Maranaha Karnadhvani Patikatam Anupurvyad Bhavadbhi Hamho Dimbhaha Parama Shubhadhan Hanta Dharmartha Kaman Yat Gargantaha Sukamayam Api Ami Mokshamapyakshipanti. So Hamho Dimbaha. Hamho Dimbaha means, oh fools. Hamho means saying with arrogance. Hey, fools, like that. Okay. So Dimba means fool or idiots. So, oh, fools. Shanke, I think. What I think? Dashama skanda padyavalīnām varnāha karnādhvani patikatamanupurvyād bhavadbihi nītāha sapati. So, you have brought all the verses of the 10th canto in order in the path of your ears as travelers. In simple words, basically, you are hearing the 10th canto, but it is said with metaphors. What it said? That you have brought the letters of the verses of the 10th canto as travelers in the path of your ears. It's entering. The meaning is not entering. Only the syllables are entering, which means you are simply hearing it without even understanding the meaning, all the verses. And that way you have made these verses as travelers in the path of your ears. Patika means travelers. So you have made them as travelers. So I think, he is saying, the person who is actually criticizing the devotees, he is saying that, I think because you have brought these verses into your ears, what happened? This verse did something. What did it do? Parama Shubhadhan Dharmartha Kaman Gargantaha Hanta. Alas, these verses have basically criticized the path of Dharma, Artha and Kama. Criticized Dharma, Artha and Kama. Dharma, your material duties. Artha, wealth. Kama, basically sense enjoyment. All these things, which are actually giving you great auspiciousness. Dharma, Artha, Kama is heavily praised in the Karma Kanda works. So, all these things which are actually giving you auspiciousness, they are being criticized by these verses. It has entered in your ears and they started criticizing. They are changing you. They started criticizing this Dharma, Artha and Kama. And then Mokshamapi Akshipanti. It throws away the moksha. What is that moksha? Moksha is Sukamaya, full of bliss. It throws away this moksha. So I think because you are hearing to Srimad Bhagavatam continuously without even understanding the meaning, you are simply hearing the Bhagavatam. By simply hearing the 10th canto of the verses of the 10th canto, you started basically criticizing the path of dharma, artha, and kama, and even you are rejecting moksha. That is the meaning of this verse. Shanke nitaha iti upalambha vyajena stutihi yam. So this is uh, a price in the form of a criticism, in the disguise of a criticism. Upalamba vyaja. Vyaja means disguise. So upalamba vyajena stutihi. Stuti means glorification. So this is a glorification in the form, in the disguise of a criticism. Why it is a criticism? Hamho dimbaha. Oh, fools, it says. You do not understand this dharma or the kamas, it gives great auspiciousness, and moksha is full of bliss. You're not understanding that, and you are simply criticizing it. Why you do that? Because you have started hearing Bhagavatam, 10th cantos verses. Okay. Shloka dvayi iyam aprastuta prashangsha alankaramayi. So this verse 1 to 240 and the previous verse, which is also 1 to 239. These two verses are filled with alankara, alankara ornament, a literary device called aprastuta prasangsha. Aprastuta prasangsha. That is the meaning of that is the ornament that is being used. So, Jiva Goswami is quoting aprastuta prasangsha. So basically, what is that aprastuta prasangsha? Something expressing non-contextual subject. That is that which is not subject. You are expressing it, and then you are stating the subject. You will look at what exactly that means, right? Before even go there, he actually gives the 5 types. There are 5 types of aprastuta prasangsha. कार्ये निमित्ते सामान्ये विशेषे प्रस्तुते सति तद् अन्यस्य वचः तुल्ये तुल्यस्य इति च पंचता इति उक्तत्वात्. So 5 types are there. So when you have to mention the karya means the effect. When you have to mention the effect, you are mentioning cause. When you have to mention the cause, nimitta, you are mentioning the effect. When you have to mention the generality, you are mentioning the specific property. And when you have to mention the specific property, you are mentioning the general property. And when you have to mention one thing, you are mentioning a similar thing. So these are the five types of aprastuta prasangsha. So for example, let's look at the first type. Karye. That is, you are mentioning the effect instead of mentioning the cause. Suppose I am sitting very sad. My friend comes to me and then he says, "What happened?" So, if you look at his question, he is not asking, "Why are you unhappy?" The question should have been, "Why are you unhappy?" or "Why are you sad?" But instead, the question is, "What happened?" He is asking for the cause. So instead of asking the effect, "Why are you sad?" He's asking, "What has happened that made you sad?" Right? You understand it? Instead of asking the effect, he is asking the cause. But we very well use it in our day-to-day life. You say, "What happened?" Instead of asking, "Why are you sad?" Right? Like that. So that is karye. That is, instead of mentioning the effect, we are mentioning the cause. Nimitta, the other way around. Instead of mentioning the um, uh, cause, we can mention the effect. The example is a king is speaking very arrogantly or with pride. He is speaking. I am sitting in the palace of my enemies, putting my legs on top of each other and sitting, very nicely, comfortably in the throne and eating a meal. A king is saying. What exactly does that mean? Basically, the enemies are afraid of the king and they ran away when the king marched to the palace. So he is able to sit there nicely and have nice meal in the throne of the enemy king without any fear. But instead of mentioning that my enemy has run away, he is mentioning the effect. Because my enemy has run away, I am able to sit in the palace and eat nice food of my enemy's palace. Enemy's palace. I'm sitting in my enemy's palace and having a nice meal sitting in the throne. He did not say that my enemy has run away. Instead, the king is saying, I am sitting in the palace of my enemy and having a very good meal sitting in the throne. But you understand the context, right? Though he is talking about the effect, you understand the cause is that the enemy has run away from the palace. That is the nimitta. Instead of saying the effect, you are saying the cause. Samanya. This verse is an example of Samanya. So here he says Samanya prastute Vishesha prastavamayi api syat. So instead of in the place of saying a general thing, you are actually mentioning a specific thing. So what is this verse? If you look at it, he says Shri Bhagavatam Yata. It should be a glorification of the Bhagavatam. It should be a glorification of the entire cantos of Bhagavatam, all the cantos of Bhagavatam. But he specifically says the 10th canto of Bhagavatam, the verses of the 10th canto of Bhagavatam. But by mentioning the specific canto, he is actually glorifying the entire Bhagavatam. Same with the previous verse as well. So, where he said that, oh, my dear friends, don't go and look at the three bent form of Hari with a smiling face and with a sidelong glance, with a flute in his hand, uh, placing his lips on that flute and having a peacock feather. Don't look at that form in the bank of the Keshi Tirtha, Keshi Ghat. If you are interested in giving up your renouncing your friends and relatives, right? So, if you are not interested in giving up your friends and relatives, if you are attached to your friends and relatives, don't go and look at the specific form of Krishna. But actually, what is the context there? Shri Murti, any deity form. Instead of mentioning any deity form is attractive, here Rupa Goswami is mentioning a specific deity form. Okay. So a specific thing is mentioned instead of saying the general statement. Similarly, the same thing is here. Instead of saying Srimad Bhagavatam, he is telling a specific canto verses. So that is called Samanya Prastute Vishesha Prastavamai. That is the third one. This is the Aprastuta Prasangsha Alankar. Now, Vishesha Prastute. You can tell a specific thing in the place of a general thing. For example, a beggar comes to me. I'm standing in the road, and then the beggar comes to me, and then he says, "See," he gives me an advice. He says, "See, in general, you should donate a lot of money to people who are living in very poor condition." Actually, what the beggar has to say, he has to say, "Give me money." Instead of saying, "Give me money," he is making a general statement that you should help poor. Actually, he is pointing to himself, right? So that is, instead of saying a general statement, you are instead of saying a general state, instead of saying a specific statement, you are making a general statement. That is the fourth one. Tulya Tulyasya, similar thing you would have heard of many places, like, speaking with double meaning, all these things come under that part of that. We are not going to.
Prabhuji, fourth one is a Visesha, right?
Yes.
Samanya is a general. Visesha, you are explaining the example, right?
Visheshe prastute. When the Vishesha is the context, you are making a general statement.
Okay. So Samanya is not general?
So four
Samanya.
types here. Four
Okay,
types
okay,
here.
I understand now, Prabhuji. Yeah.
So when you want to mention a
Prabhu, sorry to interrupt. I'm not able to understand the context of what you are explaining today. I don't know. I have been
you have
attending.
missed the first statement of myself in this thing. You would have missed the whole part because Jiva Goswami is mentioning these two verses. This current verse and the previous verse are examples of a particular literary device called a prastuta prasangsha. It's a ornament. It's a way of writing. Okay. And what is that way of writing? Aprastuta prasangsha means instead of glorifying a particular subject, you are glorifying something else, but indirectly you are glorifying the subject. For example, a person I don't like is wearing a blue color cloth, and then I'm saying, those who wear blue color cloth are fools. I'm not pointing to that person, but that person is wearing blue color cloth, you know, like that. So instead of making the particular thing as a subject, I'm making a very general statement. So that is called aprastuta prasangsha. And this ornament has five types, and we are looking at the five types because Jiva Goswami has quoted from this particular work, this verse, which is talking about the five types of aprastuta prasangsha. This particular ornament are of five types, and he says this particular verse and the previous verse are of the third type. And in the context of mentioning all this, the third type, we are mentioning I'm giving an examples of the five types.
So these are verses from Bhakti Rasāmṛta Sindhu, and Jiva Goswami is explaining from the poetic angle, like
Yes,
how things are usually presented
correct,
indirectly, like that.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So this is, given in detail in a work called Sahitya Kaumudi of Baldev Vidyabhushan. He writes about it. Okay. तदेव मात्र श्रीमूर्तिः श्रीमूर्ति श्रीभागवतमात्रयोः प्रस्तुतयोः तत्तद् विशेषः प्रस्तावः कृतः. So, in the same way, he is saying that the previous words, that Sri Murti and Sri Bhagavata, so in both previous verse and this verse, the subject matter is the deity form and Bhagavata. But instead of saying that, he is taking a specific form of deity he is praising, and he is praising particular verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Instead of generally stating every deity form, worshipping any deity form is actually the best, and hearing all the verses of Bhagavatam is best. He is specifically stating a particular verse of the Bhagavatam. He is giving an example, same with the previous one, the particular form of the Lord. Okay. सः हि तावत् तत्पर्यन्तमहिमा ज्ञानप्रयोजकः इति. So he is using this ornament to glorify the actual subject matter, which is Bhagavatam and the deity form of the Lord. किंच पूर्वपद्ये स्मेराम् इत्यादिना तस्याः हरितनोः प्रशंसनात् तत्प्रेक्षणनिषेधे तात्पर्यं नास्ति इति. तद्वत् तदुत्तरपद्ये धर्मादीनां परमशुभदानां मोक्षस्य च सुखमयस्य दशमस्कन्धश्रवण ज भावेन अतिक्रमात् तस्य परमसुखरूपत्वप्राप्त्या हंहो डिम्बाः इति अत्र अधिक्षेपे तात्पर्यं नास्ति इति. So just as in the previous verse, another thing is there are two ornaments in this verse being used, two literary devices. Again, from the poetic angle, two literary devices are used. The first one literary device is price in the form of price in the disguise of criticism. Instead of glorifying, you are actually criticizing. or I shouldn't say that, uh, a price, you're actually pricing, but apparently it looks like a criticism. Okay, so that is ornament number one. That is called Vyajastuti, glorification in disguise. Okay. Then we have the second ornament that is called Aprastuta Prashangsha, not mentioning the subject, indirectly mentioning the subject. These two ornaments. So he is talking about now the first ornament, with this Vyajastuti. He talked in detail about the second ornament, which we already went through the different types of the second ornament. Now he is going back to the first ornament. He says, just as in the previous verse, what did he say in the previous verse? See, if you are interested in your friends and relatives, don't go and look at the form of Krishna who is standing on the Keshi Tirtha, bank of the Keshi Tirtha. Hmm? Don't go and look at that form. He's actually saying, don't do that. But he's actually encouraging you to do that. Okay. By saying don't do that, he's asking you to do that. Similarly, in this verse, when he says that you are fools, hamho dimba, oh fools, he's pointing to the devotees and he's saying, oh fools. Hmm? So, by saying that, he is actually saying that the devotees have attained a higher bhava, higher happiness than the happiness produced by moksha. Therefore, we should understand that he is not calling them as fools. It is just a disguise of criticism. It is actually a praise. It is not a criticism. You should not take that. Atyanta traskrita vachya dhvanina stutavyeva nayanat. It looks like an extreme criticism because calling devotees as fools is an extreme criticism. But through that criticism, he is actually praising. Why? Because he is saying that the devotees have given up the path of the karma kanda and they went into the path of bhakti. Hmm? That means bhakti is producing higher happiness than karma kanda. So, is glorifying devotees and bhakti as well. स्तुति च सा निंदा व्याजेन इति व्याजस्तुति नाम अलंकारः अयं गम्यते. So this alankara, this literary device is called Vyajastuti. This is the second one. The other one is Aprastuta Prashangsha. These two ornaments are being used in these verses. Okay, that's it. Any questions, comments, thoughts?
Very nice, Prabhu. It's very nice to hear the meaning of this and how it is applying. Even though looks like it is, they are getting scoldings, but you fools. But the meaning is so good, right?
Yeah.
So basically, if we read Bhagavatam and the verses travels in our ears, even though we don't understand the meaning, but it is actually it makes us come out of this dharma kama moksha, right? We lose interest in attaining dharma kama moksha, right?
Right. Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah. So even if you don't understand the meaning, it will make you a person like that. So that is the power of Srimad Bhagavatam.
So just reading itself helps,
Yes,
right?
making the reading go in your ears.
Yeah, very nice. And also the 5 types you explained, right? So
Yes.
Prabhuji, you said so you two differentiations you made and also 5 types, right? So is there something different? Both of them are different? Can
No,
you just
to see the high level, there are two ornaments. One is Vyajastuti and the second one is Aprastuta Prasangsha. Vyajastuti is glorification in disguise and Aprastuta Prasangsha is indirect expression, you can call it. Okay.
Okay.
So the indirect expression has another 5 internal divisions.
Oh,
And that's what we were looking in the beginning. I know it will be confusing because I'm
no,
going
it's not confusing. You explained it very nicely, Prabhuji. First time we are hearing, right? So we need to listen the recording one more time, then it will be very much clear. Yeah.
Yeah. So that we were when we were going through the 5 types, I was just giving some examples, how,
Examples.
yeah.
Yes, because you have given examples, it was easier for us to understand. But very first time we are hearing, right, this classification and all that. So
You would be thinking, what is
yeah,
this?
it's so good. It's so good that we are learning so many things, Prabhu. We are learning so much of. We are going deep into Bhakti Rasāmṛta Sindhu and learning these things, which are very, very important. So one more time we see the recording. That's it. It really helps.
Yeah.
Thank you
Prabhu,
so much,
list
Prabhu.
out
Thank you so much.
This one.
quickly those 5 under the Aprasuta Prashansa. Can you just quickly? I'm making note just
Yes.
because these things I won't remember unless I make note.
So
Yeah.
when you want to say karya means effect. You are saying cause. And when you want to say the effect, nimitta, so when you want to say what did I say? When you want to say the karya, the effect, you are saying the cause. And when you want to say the cause, you are saying the effect. And when you want to say generality, you are telling a specific thing. And when you want to say the specific thing, you are talking about generality. And the fifth one is when you want to say one thing, you are telling about another thing which is equal to that, similar thing.
Hmm.
These are the 5 types.
In the cause and effect, you mentioned about that king who is sitting in the enemy's
So when
throne.
the cause, so for
And
example, the
who's trying.
cause, when you want to say the effect, you are talking, when you want to say the effect, you are talking about the cause, right? So this is the example is basically when you are sad, your friend is coming and asking, what happened? He is asking about the cause, but his context, he wants to actually ask, why are you sad? Instead of asking, why are you sad, which is the effect, which is what you are seeing, he's asking, what has made you sad? He's talking about the cause, right? He's not interested in actually the cause, but he's like pointing to the main thing. Why are you sad? Right? That is an example. Second one, in when you want to speak the effect, you are speaking about the cause. This is the example of the king sitting in the palace of enemy's palace and eating very nicely. He's saying, I'm sitting in my enemy's palace and I'm eating very nicely. When you want to actually say, the enemy has run away, which is the cause. So he's not talking about the cause, he's talking about the effect. Samanya is this verse. You want to talk about the general thing, but you are talking about a specific thing. This verse and previous verse, like a specific form of the deity or specific verses of 10th canto. You are speaking when in fact you want to glorify the entire Bhagavatam or the entire deity forms. And the last one is Vishesha. When you want to talk about a specific thing, you are talking about the general thing, which is like, you are criticizing those who are wearing blue dress. They are fools. When you're actually your enemy is standing in front wearing a blue dress, and then you are just criticizing. You have to say the person who is standing in front of me is a fool, instead of saying, say, you are making a general statement. And those who are wearing blue dress are fools, like that.
Very nice, Prabhu. This summary was helpful because otherwise I was totally lost. What is happening?
Right.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yeah.
And last one, you said one thing. You wanted to say one thing, but you say something, another thing which is
Something
equal
else, like a double
like
meaning,
double.
for example, you speak double meaning statements. You want to say one thing and then you are saying another thing, like mm, and, double meaning statements are not coming to my mind immediately. Um, um, what can be? Maybe I'll think about it. Maybe you can search for double meaning statements in the internet. You will get something. Tulya Tulyasya. So again, it has multiple divisions. Double meaning is one of them. It has 3, 4 divisions or something like that. So, that's why I just left it. Otherwise, we'll be delving too much into that, and then we'll lose the whole context.
So, Prabhu, the reason why we are learning all these, even the poetry usage by, what is the reason? Does it help in getting rid of our anarthas?
Yeah.
Like what exactly?
So one of the qualities of a devotee mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita is he's a kavi. He should be a poet. You would see all of our acharyas, including up to Srila Prabhupada, they have written a lot of poetic works. Prabhupada has written into the Gita Gan, entire Bhagavad Gita in a poetic form. And then he has also written a lot of poems when he was journeying in Jaladuta, for example, right? So if you want to be write poems, you need to know the language very well. And he is giving also we can look at the previous acharyas, what they have used. Like, he's using literary devices like this. Uh, so to exhibit that quality, he has written, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur has written poems. Bhakti Vinod Thakur has written poems. Then Vishwanath Chakravarti written poems. Baldev Vidyabhushan. So Baldev Vidyabhushan not only just wrote poems, he has for devotees to learn all these alankar. He has written a book called Sahitya Kaumudi. The Sahitya Kaumudi is talking about all the literary ornaments in Sanskrit, so that you can use in your poems. Right? He has written that using Krishna's examples, so a devotional form of that. So, you know, in one language or the other, you need to know different things to express it very nicely. Like if you want to make nice garlands, you need to know how to make garlands, how to put the different flowers, and what kind of different forms. You will search in the internet. Is that going to remove your anartha? Yes, if you are doing with an intention that I want to make Krishna's garland very beautiful. Similarly, if you want to write poems, understanding these things and also glorifying previous acharyas' works, like Rupa Goswami has written this, so we can understand. Oh, he has used these ornaments. He's not simply writing whatever comes to in his mind. He is having a specific thing. He wants to glorify in this way. Use this literary ornament. He's embellishing it. Understanding it is also helpful in appreciating the works of the acharyas and write our own things if required.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, because otherwise, it doesn't make sense to me because I'm not into that poetic kind of thing or grammar or all that. So I was wondering, like, because we are talking about Bhakti Rasāmṛta Sindhu, which is nectar of devotion, where is that Bhakti thing? This is going into like poetry, which is may not be directly related. That's what my point was. Thank you so much for clarifying.
Yeah, thank you, Mataji.
Thank you, Rajaji and Prabhu. Just want to share, I really like the explanation what you gave today, and the point which you made that reading 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam is actually criticizing the liberation. So, and I was also when you were explaining this 5 types. I was just referring the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu from Bhanu Swami's, which he has written. And he has written some commentary given by Jiva Goswami and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. So what I'll do, I'll take a picture,
Yes,
and
Prabhu.
he has explained this everything in this. So I'll take a picture and I'll post it in a group for
Yes,
everybody.
yes,
Yeah.
please. I also refer to that for understanding, the verses. Before I do this, I read that to make sure I am following these footsteps. Yeah, please post that. And
Yes.
so yesterday we heard from Vaisheshika Prabhu that Bhanu Maharaj Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is being published by BBT now. So it will soon come in many of your hands.
Yeah, correct. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank
So, who's
Prabhu,
thank
that
you, Honorable Dev Prabhu, for doing this. Whose translation is coming, Prabhuji?
Bhanu Maharaj translation is being officially published by BBT. Like
Oh.
we have Brigad Bhagavatamrita, so similarly, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is coming out.
Oh, okay. But the same thing we have, right?
Maharaj has published it separately. Now it is coming via the BBT.
Oh, okay. Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Prabhu, and the example of the last one you said, right? You mentioned that don't go and see the three-vended form of Krishna at Keshi Ghat. That is the example for the last one.
That
Actually,
is
they
an
mean to
example
say,
for again as Samanya. So he wants to say all the deity forms, but then he is talking about one specific deity form, which is like three bent form like that.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, devotees. Thank you for joining, and we'll continue to read next week. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यः पतितानां
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। अन्तकोटि वैष्णववृन्द की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।